We're recording and ready to go. Jilma, if you want to let people in.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're just going to give it until 11 o'clock, and then we'll be starting shortly.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're just going to give it probably till 11 o'clock before we get started. Thanks so much.
Are you guys there?
Hi, Jackie. We're here.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great, Jackie. We're just muting everybody as they come in, and then we'll start at 11.
Okay,
See you in a bit.
see you in a bit.
Door prizes by Brookside Gardens.
That'd be a nice door prize.
I slowly started putting in a ladle of the hot mixture, whisking the whole time. I did the same with the second ladle, poured the tempered yolks into the half.
Hello.
Hi.
Silent, so that you say something like, the most important part about the garden is.
Yeah,
and
right.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Susan Collett, Chair of the Board for Shepherd's Table. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. As a reminder, mute your mic before we proceed. For those of you who may not be aware, Shepherd's Table provides nutritious hot meals for people experiencing homelessness and food insecurity in Silver Spring, Maryland. I want to thank old friends and new friends for joining today for our first ever virtual fundraiser, Spring into Action. As some of you are aware, we have an annual fundraiser usually held at AFI. It's a lot of fun. We catch up with everyone. We're not able to do that this year, so we thought we would try this virtual fundraiser, and I'm so glad that you could be with us to share in the critical work of Shepherd's Table. I am really pleased to introduce to you today the Executive Director of Shepherd's Table, Manny Hidalgo, who is joining us from Shepherd's Table's kitchen today. Manny joined Shepherd's Table in January with decades of experience working with underserved communities and in social justice and other initiatives. And he's the former leader of the Latino Economic Development Center in Washington, D.C. Good morning, Manny. I know many folks have tuned in to hear from our special guests and ask them questions. We're going to hear from Manny first, and then we're going to hear from experts from the Audubon Naturalist Society and the Charles Coiner Center and Shepherd's Table's own chef, Christina Moore. But Manny, first to you, can you tell us more about Shepherd's Table, its mission, its services, who we serve?
Yes. Hi, good morning, Susan, and good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for participating in our first ever virtual fundraiser, which who knows, it may end up becoming part of the Shepherd's Table tradition to do a virtual fundraiser, because so far we've been really pleased by the outpouring of support for this event, and just very grateful to our board of directors that have completely spearheaded this event. I know my staff is also very grateful to have such an amazing level of board support and enthusiasm. And as you can imagine, any event, there's a lot of planning that goes into it. So thanks to everyone who's participated in the planning of this event. And also especially to the Embassy of the State of Qatar and the ambassador from, Qatar, as I've been instructed, it's actually Qatar. So thank you for your support. They're offering a $25,000 match. And my understanding is we're close to that amount. We're hoping to at least raise another $7,000 during this event to meet that, but Jilna will discuss that more. But back to your question, the mission of Shepherd's Table. So Shepherd's Table was launched back in 1983. It was over a dozen churches, synagogues, temples, places of worship that got together and decided that they were no longer going to tolerate the fact that there are so many hungry people in Montgomery County that were going unfed and uncared, and they decided to do something about it. So they started serving dinner, and since then it's evolved into a nonprofit organization we're up to about 17 staff and a $3 million budget, and we feed anywhere from about 350 to 450 people daily. We do breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, and then on weekends we do brunch and dinner. And that comes out to over 120,000 meals annually. And we combine the provision of meals with core social services, which include things like toiletries, help with prescription medication, blankets. We also offer the only eye clinic specifically geared to the homeless population in the DMV. And between the social services and the meals program, and then the other programs that are offered here at Progress Place, we're basically a one-stop shop for anybody experiencing hunger and homelessness in the county. They can come to Shepherd's Table and Progress Place and receive the services that they need and deserve.
Well, Manny, I see you're standing in Shepherd's Table's beautiful dining room. There's a state-of-the-art kitchen, and I can't help but notice that it's empty. Can you talk to us about how Shepherd's Table has had to adapt in the face of COVID-19?
Yeah, so right now this would be filled and with people in line. Typical brunch is anywhere from about 100 to 150 people. Instead, we're doing the meals outside. We set up a grab and go process, and we still offer the great food that we always have, just not in this dining hall. So typically you would see folks, lined up here are volunteers, of which we are super blessed to have thousands of volunteers, but they would be here today, usually about 12 volunteers per shift, and they would be feeding folks coming through those doors. Instead, we have a setup out front in front of Progress Place, and we gave everybody masks so they know to wear their masks when they approach to get their to-go meal. And we also have like construction tape out on the parking lot, so everybody's 6 feet apart. So we basically had to move to this. I decided to do it right when the governor said that they didn't want groups of more than 50, because we feed, 100, 150. We knew that we would be out of compliance. So I think we were the first to switch. Within a few days, I think Miriam's Kitchen did the same thing, and now all of the soup kitchens, of course, have gone this route. But luckily, we got a jump on it. And to the credit of our meal guests, to our volunteers and staff, everybody, it's like we didn't miss a beat. Typical Shepherd's Table fashion, we just kept doing what we need to do to fulfill our mission, and people have been great about it. And so we're really pleased with how things have turned out under the circumstances.
Well, I know that those compostable food containers are expensive. There have definitely been costs for Shepherd's Table to make this pivot. That's part of why we're here today. And I do want to make sure the audience understands when we talk about our food here, it is delicious, nutritious. I was down one morning and there was shrimp and grits, hot shrimp and grits for the guests. And so it's excellent food. It's supplemented by a garden you're going to hear about later, our own urban garden. So this is very high quality food. So thank you for that overview, Banny. We're going to be going to our experts, but first you're going to hear from Jilna Kathari. She is Shepherd's Table's Director of Development and Communications, and you'll be hearing from her a few times during this event. Jilna, over to you. I see Jilna's slides are coming up here. Jilna.
Thank you, Susan, and everyone that has joined us today. I really appreciate you spending your Saturday morning with us. As Manny mentioned, Shepherd's Table has continued to serve during COVID-19, and it's been over 36 years and we haven't missed a meal service, and we're not going to let that happen just yet. So we are very grateful for your support and also the support of the Embassy of the State of Qatar that is offering to match up $25,000 in donations. I am pleased to inform everyone that as of now, we have actually raised $20,000, which is fabulous, and we're very excited about it. Just think about how many meals that is going to be, right after more people start coming in. And but we do want to, of course, remind you that you can continue to donate throughout this event to make sure that we not only meet but exceed this match. Your support ensures that we continue to meet the needs of our community, no matter what they are. And the link to donate is going to be posted in the chat a couple times over the course of this event. So we do appreciate anything you can do to support us. I am pleased now to be introducing Jenny Brown, Montgomery County Master Gardener and Audubon Naturalist Society's Garden Programs Manager. Jenny brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to share with us today. You can submit questions to her in the chat, and she'll answer as many as possible at the end of her presentation. But if there are others, we will be planning a follow-up to answer some of your great questions as they come up. Over to you, Jenny.
Thanks so much for that, Jilna. I've got to start out by apologizing that we didn't know our neighbors would be mowing their lawn. So I hope you can hear me. We'll do the best we can, and let's get started. First of all, thanks so much for supporting Shepherd's Table. It's a wonderful organization, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Today, I'm going to give you some tips for starting vegetables and herbs in your backyard or your apartment. Both are possible. I hope by the end of this brief talk, you are inspired to try this new activity or to expand further if you have some knowledge of it and want to get even better at it. The reasons being it's fun, it's not expensive, and the results taste great. So first of all, you need to know that there are several seasons. We are in the midst of the cool season vegetables that grow well now. These are mostly your leafy things like lettuce. My lettuce is very happy right now. It's about halfway grown out. We've had a very cool season. It's ready to eat. Things like tatsoi, also ready to eat. And these you could even start now given our cool season, but they, by the middle of the summer, will be bolting. That is, they'll make flowers. The leaves won't be tasty anymore. They'll be kind of bitter. And in fact, we are at the very beginning of what we call our warm season, our summer crops. And these are things like your tomatoes and beans and squash, just to name a few. If you are interested in growing things, these would be the ones you plant now that you will then enjoy throughout the summer. The herbs can be planted almost any time, like basil, for instance. We all love pestos. And they can be grown on your window ledge if you have a sunny enough window, or out in your garden. They like the soil to be very warm. So I've just started some now, that then when it comes time, I can plant them outside. Plants, well, there are 6 needs that you're going to have for your garden. The first 3 are absolutely free. So that's one positive, right? The sun is free. I hope you have a sunny enough yard. Plants in the summer need 4 to 6 hours of sunlight, so they will struggle if they have less than that. They need air, plenty of air all the way around, and water is just about free, especially if it rains on its own. If you have to water a little, that's minimal cost, right? So the first 3 things of the 6 are perfectly free. The next item you need, of course, are the seeds or the plants. Those are very inexpensive, easily found in grocery stores. You can order them online, hardware stores, not very expensive at all. And plants you can also get at nurseries. They're what we call transplants. I have an example here, very small. It's going to need more room. I'll tell you how to do that later. But one other source of your vegetables and fruits are going to be things that you buy at the grocery store. For instance, this onion. See the little dried up root hairs? Well, I was cutting an onion a few weeks ago and I popped it into a small jar, and look what happened. It grew new roots, and it even grew the start of a new onion. This one is now ready to get popped into the ground. I don't think it would grow much more than this. It now needs soil. Another item that's easy to grow on your window ledge, and you can even do this throughout the winter, is mint. You can pop that into a little glass, and you see the roots have started. This you can even leave in your glass a good long time and take the leaves as you need them, or you can plant that in a small pot that will fit easily on your window ledge. Something I haven't tried yet, but I'm very excited to see what happens, is when we eat this pineapple, I'm going to save the top and pop that into some water, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited to find out. So those are items that you don't even have to purchase, or just in addition to buying your groceries. The next thing that you will need is soil, and I'm going to make a strong recommendation that you plan on buying potting soil. This will be your biggest expense. This bag costs about $10. It has lots and lots of soil in it. And the reason I recommend potting soil is that it's got everything the plant needs. It's got some organic fertilizer. It's light and fluffy so air can get in. It will be lightweight if you plant in pots and need to move them around as you discover where the sunniest spot in your yard is. So start definitely with potting soil, definitely for starting your seeds, and then later consider if you want to go into the ground, okay, but you've given them a good start with potting soil. So then the last thing you need is containers. Now you can buy these also at the same places I mentioned before, But especially for starting seeds, why do that when we've got so much plastic in our world and we want to use, reuse, and reduce our plastic use? So what I've done is raided my recycle bin. And these make an excellent planter. See, they have all holes already. There's enough depth so that all you have to do is put the soil and the seeds in. The other thing I recommend is if you're doing this on your window ledge, it's going to sit inside something that won't damage your windowsill because the water will run through. So all I've used here is maybe something from carryout, and that works just fine on your window ledge. Other ideas are, if you've bought plants in the past, save the pot, wash it out. It's already got the holes you need, and this is a good size for growing something like basil. These small pots, if you want to grow them on your sunny window ledge, will grow into fine, full-sized plants. The thing with basil is that if they're inside, you're going to have to keep seeding new ones to grow and have a good supply throughout the summer. If you put this tiny plant, when it gets warm enough outside, it'll grow into a 2 to 3 foot plant. You'll have so many leaves, you can even freeze them and have basil and pesto in the winter. So those, and then as your plants get bigger, you're going to try to find bigger and bigger pots that have the drainage holes without making a purchase. But of course, you can buy pots for your plants for outside. So the only thing I do want to remind you is don't only use food-based pots. You don't want to use anything that had cleansers in it, strong chemicals. That would not be good for your plants, would not be good for you eating it later. All right, so the final thing, a little tip I wanted to show you is that we know that in the midst of this crisis, it was hard to get toilet paper. Hopefully that problem has been solved, but you can make wonderful little seed starting spot things for your window ledge by making 4 little cuts. You fold this down or your toilet paper roll. Let's see if I can get that to happen easily. You can pop a little tape in it. Here, I may have one all set up. Put a little tape on the bottom, and there you have your planter. You just put the soil in, and you want to pack it down pretty firmly, not rock hard, but pretty firmly. And then you are ready to pop your seed in. I've picked a sunflower seed because it's good sized, easy to see. And the interesting fact about seeds is the rule of thumb is that the bigger the seed, the deeper it goes. But really, I don't know of anything that goes more than about 1 inch. And then you want to press firmly to make sure the seed has contact with the soil. And then the final important step on, well, not the final, but the next to the last is you want to write what you planted, because if you're like me, I never remember. There we go. I'll add this to this group. And just to prove that it works, here is a sunflower that I planted several weeks ago. The other fun thing about this is this tiny little creature will grow 10 feet in this season. So of course this is going to go in the backyard somewhere in our yard because it's going to get so big. But we've given it a good start in our little toilet paper roll planter. Now, if you're like me, it happens all the time. I end up, my little seedlings come up and they're all bunched together and they really want more room. So I wanted to quickly show you that that's not a disaster. You can dig these up and gently break them apart. Here are the beautiful roots in there. Let's see if I can get them apart without ripping too much. There we go. 1, 2, 3. And all you do is give them their new home, tuck them in. Ooh, that's actually 2. Well, never mind. I can even just press with my thumb. And now I've given them more room. These are Swiss chard. I don't know that this pot would be big enough to leave them there, but this is narrow enough that if you have a wide ledge inside your house, you might be able to grow your herbs inside a pot this sized. And then the last planting tip I want to give you is if you've bought transplants. This is a marigold. This is not a food vegetable, but it's a valuable plant for your food plants outside. It attracts the good insects and repels the bad creatures like deer and rabbits. So you would like, isn't that pretty too? So something has happened. These have been growing for months at a nursery. I'm going to show you how to safely get them out of the pot. Kind of squeeze. Look at all those roots down there. It's time for it to be lifted out. Then you gently pull it out, and look at that. The plant has used a lot of energy to make a lot of roots, and they're wrapped around each other. You could pop it in the ground like this, but it would be much better off if you do a little ripping. I know it sounds harsh, but you're going to be bending them outward so that they have a chance to head into the ground. I'm going to add them to this pot right here where I have a tomato. And you stick it down. Oops, not deep enough of a hole. There we go. Tuck it in, make sure it has a good contact with the soil and it joins its friends here. This tomato I planted earlier, and I put a cage around it because it will get 4 or 5 feet tall in this garden. You'll maybe notice that I'm showing you all things to plant in pots. The best sun in our yard happens to be on the deck, and so we are going to try to keep these vegetables on our deck where the best sun is, and then leave the rest of the garden for flowering things for the wildlife that we love to attract to our garden. The last step, and this is true for planting seeds and for planting plants, is that you need to water. And you can use a watering can like this. Now we've lost the nozzle and that makes it kind of harsh. So I have made a little thing out, again, reusing plastic, out of an olive container that I've popped holes in. See those few little holes? And then this slightly larger thing, I'm gonna fill this with water. And this is, let's see if I've done enough of this. Well, there's our rain. So this mimics the rain. You want to water, oh, let me do the new ones. This is a gentle way to water your plants. If you were to pour, you might spray the seeds too far and wide. You might knock the plant down. So it's always better to water gently. And if you want to save money, you don't have to do that. Now, I've given you just a few tips. I obviously could talk all day about this, but I just wanted to leave you with the idea that I find great benefit, aside from being in the sun. Oh, thank you for coming out, sun. That it is fresh air. We're out with nature. We have so many birds coming to visit us. And we kind of like the challenge of seeing if we can outsmart those squirrels and rabbits. Even if you're inside, there's air purifying that helps out. And in any case, wherever you garden, you're caring for living things and you are being a participant in the cycle of life. And I think those are both very emotionally satisfying to me, and I hope you find the same. The last 3 things are, I hope you find this fun. I hope you're inspired to try it and to learn a new skill. And my kids who I've worked with for years love to grow vegetables, and I hope that they all become gardeners when they grow up. That's all I have for you. I'm happy to take some questions, and I hope you all decide to get started gardening. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really excited about your pineapple. I love your description of how you've reused containers for berries that already have holes in them, and the little toilet paper rolls. I mean, I've never thought of this, and this is a really cool thing to be able to do. So thank you for that. We do have some questions. Somehow it's May and we have a polar vortex. So Rosetta is asking, any hope for my tomatoes and squash that got planted this week and yet the covers blew off during last night's freeze? So how about this weird temperature change?
Yeah, there are such things as microclimates, so every person's situation will be different. I put sheets out last night myself, and they also blew off. I happen to be fairly protected in the yard I'm in, so I'm not too worried about mine. You'll know pretty quickly, but the good news is about all these warm weather things, if these have died because of this cold, start over. There's time. It's unbelievable. I showed you that teeny tiny sunflower. I've been doing this for years. I can't believe that this will be 10 feet tall within the summer. Same thing with your tomatoes. Just pop those seeds in the ground now. I think we'll be safe. The weather people are saying next week it's finally going to warm up. So just start over. You'll be amazed how quickly they grow.
Okay, great advice. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Succeed, maybe there's a pun in there. But so another question for you, for people in an apartment and who don't have the greatest window, what might be the simplest thing to grow in that condition?
Well, I'm going to tell you two things. The basil is extraordinarily easy to grow, and so I would try again with that. If you want to make a bit of an investment, I think a grow light is a great thing. If you can dedicate a corner of your apartment, then you won't be dependent on the light from your window, and you can grow quite a few things with a grow light, and they're not horribly expensive.
So tomatoes, I feel like my husband downstairs has this very question. Is it too early to start tomatoes?
No. So we have, so as a master gardener, there's a website. If you were just to Google Grow It, Eat It, you'll get a lot of information about the best times to start things. But in our area, May 15th is the golden moment. Beyond that day, it is fine to get things started outside. Of course, I have been super impatient and I started things early just in case. And I've got beans coming up. This is a pole bean, so I've just made some sticks with it. If those don't make it, as I said, I'll just pop some new ones. And the other nice thing about beans is, yeah, you want to keep growing them throughout the summer, starting new ones. So start your tomatoes, and if they don't make it, start again.
So we have a question here about marigolds. Can you talk about how they're beneficial, the different ways they can be used?
Yeah, so they have a very distinctive smell. I happen to like it. A lot of people don't, but I love this plant. It grows. We even heard growing ones this year. They're called giant ones, so I'm excited to see how giant they really are. But what they do is they attract things like ladybugs that you want, because ladybugs will come and eat aphids off of your plants. At the same time, the smell or whatever it is, the rabbits are not interested. They don't go close to it. So that's why we often plant near a tomato plant. And the deer also are repelled by it. So those are the reasons to have marigolds, other than the nice smell and the nice color.
So this sounds like probably a question people have a lot, because we do this occasionally and we maybe fail more than we succeed. But is there hope for Gail, who planted beans, tomatoes, and cucumbers several weeks ago from saplings, and they look dead? Is it possible they can revive?
Yeah, I would just leave them. If they are dead, they will decompose and add nutrients back into the soil. It's another reason that I like participating in gardening, is that there's really no waste in nature. I tell my students that all the time. And they can be started again if they're dead, but they'll let you know pretty soon if they're lively.
So in terms of things to use on our garden, maybe you have a few suggestions about this. One question is, have you used leaf grow? Is it the same as potting soil?
Not the same as potting soil. It is a lot of the same organic materials that have broken down, composted. It's a great material. I would definitely recommend adding it to your soil in your backyard if you are going to put your things in the ground. It breaks up where we typically have very clay soil, so it helps with water drainage, and it does add some nutrients, but your potting soil is going to have some fertilizer in it, and organic hopefully, and will provide more for your plant starting out. But leaf grow, great addition, and it's a Montgomery County product, so why not use it?
Oh, very good. Can you talk more about the sheets you put down when and how you use them?
The sheets for the winter,
For
I'm
protecting,
assuming. I mean, for
and
the
for-
coldness, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And then related, what are some winter tolerant plants?
Well, that's okay. I'm going to start with that because the herbs gardens, I mentioned things like basil for growing inside and parsley. And actually, we had such a mild winter that parsley made it through, and so did a number of other things. But I have an in-ground herb garden, and that has the perennials like rosemary and sage and lavender and oregano. Those will carry on throughout the winter. I can't recommend enough. Start if you have a sunny enough spot, doesn't take up a whole lot of room, and have an in-ground herb garden that you add the basil and the more delicate ones too. And of course, I've forgotten the first part of your question, which is
Just how you use the sheets.
oh, how the sheets. Yeah, I just tossed them over the top. Apparently, it wasn't effective enough because my husband said he got up in the middle of the night and went out and placed them because they blew off. So I'm not sure how much it helped. I think that my yard was okay, and so I would be interested to know if anyone's on the call that are further north, if they actually saw frost. But the whole goal is to stop things from freezing. In fact, if you were an orchard owner, sometimes when there's a frost predicted, they will actually set up fans. The wind is not as destructive. The goal is to stop those crystals forming on the surface and inside the plant.
Can you talk about some other fruits and vegetables where you can just use a scrap of that vegetable itself to plant and then make new plants?
Yeah, it's an area that I want to learn more about. There's probably plenty of websites to give you ideas, but I often have my students dry seeds from a tomato. They'll cut up a tomato or a melon, and then they just smear it across a paper towel. And then those, as soon as that dries out, those are ready to start again. So in fact, you probably, don't need to buy seeds even if you want to be diligent. I'm not aware, but I love to experiment with things. You probably have all had the experience of potatoes sprouting, the little, what they call the eyes starting to grow, or sweet potatoes doing the same thing. Those, the potatoes can be cut so long as there's one eye per little chunk of potato. Those can be planted in the ground. Sweet potatoes start to form these little sprouts off of them. You gently break those off and you can start those. Gosh, I know growing up, we put avocado pits into jars. So all kinds of things worth experimenting. Try it all. Anything you have an idea about, just go for it.
Excellent. And then what are your favorite ways to achieve, I would say this is my least favorite task, getting rid of grass and weeds in your garden?
Oh, yes. Okay, so the things have evolved in the time that I've been gardening. It used to be, you're all familiar with fields where they tilled it all up, they loosened all of the soil. Well, they've discovered lately that all that does is loosen up all the weed seeds, and all of a sudden you've got every weed and grass coming back. The thinking now is more often to dig exactly where you want to put your plant, but around it put all kinds of things that are barriers. And the best I've found is either thicknesses of newspaper, wet newspaper, which kind of shreds up. So better if you've got cardboard and can lay that down with maybe some leaf mulch on top of it. We don't recommend regular mulch that you use around your garden plants because that pulls nitrogen out of the soil. So you're going to want your cardboard, newspaper, and that's a little unsightly and can get blown away. And so on top of that, and plus it needs to get weighted down with the wind or something. So if you can get leaf mulch, leaf grow on top of that, that works great as a barrier for the weeds.
And Rosetta has some feedback for you. She didn't see frost in her soil, but her pots do seem frozen this morning. And of course, we know pots do freeze more readily.
Right.
And then, final question from, final question for you is just, coming in right now. If anyone covered their tomato plants last night, should they remove the covering today and put it on again? So how long are we in danger here?
I don't know that we're expected to have the same amount of cold tonight. I think anything above 40, you'll be fine. It won't hurt them to put the covering over at night. So yeah, if excessive caution, you want to throw that over there again. And let's hope we're done with this cold. How about that?
Let's hope for now. Well, there may be some more time for questions at the very end of this session. Wow, that was so informative. Thank you so much. Your garden looks beautiful. I want to beam myself there, which I guess I sort of am. But thank you so very much. I'm going to turn next to Jilna Kathari of Shepherd's Table. Jilna, are you there? Jill is going to talk more about opportunities to support Shepherd's Table.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you so much. Jenny, thank you so much for inspiring us to plant something. I think after seeing what you've shared, even I feel like I can do something. I have nothing in my garden. So thank you so much. We also have had some fantastic questions coming in. Thank you so much for everyone that's attending. I think everybody's learning so much and also sharing their expertise, so that's wonderful. We have seen some great donations come in as well. Thank you to, and I'm sorry if I don't say your name right, Deirdre Rye, David Gross, and Joy Ditto. Thank you so much for making additional donations to get us closer to that $25,000 match. We are really hopeful that we can get there. Just think about how many meals that's going to be. That's, we're getting ready for the months to come. So we really appreciate it. I am excited to now welcome Hannah Shoulder, who is the Director of Land Stewardship and Farm Management at the Charles Coiner Center for Urban Farming. Take it away, Hannah. Thank you.
Thank you, Jilna, so much for the introduction. We love being just down the street from Shepherd's Table and collaborating with you all. So for those of you who don't know, in downtown Silver Spring, just a few blocks from Shepherd's Table, there's a historic 1-acre urban farm called Coiner Farm. At the farm, we grow over 120 varieties of fruits and vegetables, sell them right from the farm. We also go to the downtown Silver Spring Farmers Market, and on occasion, we bring our surplus produce to Shepherd's Table. We actually have some radishes for you guys, so I'll be in touch. So Coiner Farm was managed for decades by a lifelong Montgomery County farmer named Charles Coiner until the age of 98. Before his passing, we created a nonprofit land trust named in his honor to preserve his farm and make sure it remains a working farm in perpetuity right in the heart of our downtown. So in addition to stewarding the land and managing this farm, CKC Farming has an educational mission at its core. Our ambition is to help train the next generation of sustainable food innovators, which we so desperately need. As you know, we are a rapidly urbanizing society and have become quite detached from the food production process, which has left us pretty vulnerable, especially in moments of crisis like we're experiencing now with COVID. So it's so great that Jenny gave us all that good advice on how to start to take a role and start to, do our own gardening as well. But at CKC, to address this vulnerability, our educational programming empowers people as well to grow their own food at a larger scale and again, help build a sustainable local food system. We do outreach with our neighbors to involve them in the production, as well as with local area students by providing hands-on field trips and internships. But really what I want to share with you all today, this morning, is our vision for the county, which is to build a network of neighborhood farms. So we believe this network is going to make a significant contribution to the larger effort, which again, we're all engaged, to build a more resilient food economy. And again, local food production is playing a key role in that resilient food economy. So it's your backyard gardens, it's the balcony gardens, Shepherd's New Garden, and our county's vast agricultural reserve that all play a role. So while this local food production may not lead to total self-sufficiency, we're aware of that issue, we do believe that building connections between these different scales and growing the network will be able to shift that balance towards more resiliency and self-sufficiency. And I just want to mention as well, beyond directly increasing our food security here in the county, having this robust and diverse local food economy brings so many other benefits to our lives. So as we've experienced at the farm in the East Silver Spring neighborhood, again, just blocks from the downtown, this farm has become this central meeting place for neighbors, a hangout zone, and really been a place where people just wandering around, since we are a public property land trust, to be able to reconnect with the earth and with the food we eat. And of course, having your backyard gardens or these urban farms, it really helps raise our awareness about the true costs of production and changes our perspective as consumers. So I just wanted to emphasize that Shepherd's new garden, which I think we're going to get to tour or hear more about later on this call, is a wonderful contribution to this local system, infusing fresh produce into the meals it serves and creating a space for tranquility and contemplation, and hopefully inspiring those who pass through its doors each day. So thanks to Shepherd's Table for your leadership, and thanks to everyone on this call for supporting their work. I hope we all get to visit Shepherd's new garden soon, and I also wanted to extend an invitation for you to come to Coiner Farm when things get a little bit better. But in the meantime, we actually have just started a home delivery CSA. So if you're interested, check out our website, ckcfarming.org. You can also learn more about our volunteerships for our neighbors and events. So just kind of how Jenny gave us this introduction this morning to urban gardening. We also do urban homesteading workshops. And if you would like to help us grow this network of urban farms, please be in touch and share your ideas. And I think at the end of the call, we'll be having a time for more questions and feedback. And I'm happy to field these questions along with CKC's executive director, who's also on this call, Kate Medina, and one of our board members, Peter Cassiano. So thanks to everyone for being here this morning.
Thank you so much, Hannah. That was, we appreciate you sharing both your passion as well as your knowledge with us today. And we will be posting the link to the farm for everyone that's asking for more information. I also just wanted to take this moment just to shed light on our Resource Center, which is a program that not a lot of people know we have, but is very, very critical to our mission. It provides referrals, mail services for people, toiletries, bus tokens, help paying for prescription medicines, all services that are very important, especially now during this difficult period where people still need access to getting their medicine and their mail, and like getting your stimulus check. A lot of people did receive their checks through the mail service system that we have. I also want to take a moment to thank Christina Long, Hannah Shoulder, and Caitlin Simpson, all who made donations in the little break time that we had. We are getting much closer, you guys. We're about 4,000 away from where we need to be to meet the match. So we do appreciate you continue to think about if you can give a little bit more than you already have. And also, now I'm very excited to introduce a new video that Shepherd's Table has come up with. I know many of you have known about us for a long time, but we do have some new people. So I hope you enjoy this introduction to Shepherd's Table. Thank you.
I must say, when I first became homeless, I didn't really know how to deal with it at all, to be honest with you. I don't want to ever be on the street again.
Sleeping out on the streets is a very dangerous proposition in a large metropolitan area. So the fear factor is real in the lives of the homeless. It's important to know that in Montgomery County, we have about 80,000 people that do not have the resources to feed themselves every day in what is one of the wealthiest counties in the country. The only way, to address that is to provide the meals and provide the social services and help people break that cycle of poverty. No other program in the whole DMV does meals every day, 3 times a day on weekdays, twice on weekends.
I often describe it as like Thanksgiving dinner every day. We get tons of amazing local organic produce donated, so we're able to create really amazing, delicious meals for these folks.
And if you talk to the people that eat here, they will tell you how much they enjoyed the meal and that they felt loved and cared for.
The volunteers, they're number one in my book. They come here every day, volunteering themselves and feeding us. That's a blessing in itself. And I mean that with all my heart. When we line up, the line can go all the way out the door, and they're all waiting for us with all smiles. And we're grateful for that.
I do think we have the kind of culture and people that are welcoming and loving, which I think is a really, really important part of this work. It's for everybody to feel accepted wherever they are in life and not feel like they have to earn a meal. They just have to come. People hopefully will come for a meal and stay to change their lives. We couple the meal services with the social services.
We can go to a place to get clean clothes, good clothes.
Helping people fill prescriptions, distributing blankets, toiletries, haircuts, mail services.
Everything that you can have at home, they supply it for us.
We also have the only eye clinic in the entire DC metropolitan area for the homeless. Anybody dealing with extreme poverty can come to one building in downtown Silver Spring and have their needs met. Shepherd's Table is at a unique place because we are looking at going beyond the provision of meals and social services and looking at how do we help break the cycle of poverty, right? So how do we inspire hope? How do we create a path towards self-sufficiency? And so we're looking at vocational training. An idea that's already underway is an urban garden that we just expanded behind the building.
We had a garden day where we had several volunteers come in and help build additional beds and level things out, move some shrubs around so that we can increase production in our garden and grow even more food to serve to our clients. My vision is to have an educational program and turn it into kind of an outdoor classroom.
We want to create more opportunities where people can learn a skill, learn a trade, and eventually get out there and be able to afford a place to live. I do see a future without homelessness in Montgomery County and without homelessness in this country. I think what it's going to take is enough people who absolutely refuse to accept the status quo. Enough people who see the homeless and not pretend like they're not there. The reality is we see people breaking out of poverty every day. You have to believe that you can break out of the situation that you're in, and then you have to have access to those who also believe that you can break out of the cycle that you're in. When those two come together, I think is when you have people finding a way out.
Shepherd's Table saved my life. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. Whenever the time comes, I want to be able to be a part of Shepherd's Table. I want to give back to the community.
When I see the community coming together to share a meal, it makes me realize that what we're doing is special. I think whenever you can get people from radically different places in life and get them at the same table breaking bread together, miracles can happen.
Hi, thank you all. I hope you enjoyed our new video. Thank you for the great comments that you've been sharing in the chat. I am excited now to move us over to Shepherd's Table, where we're going to hear more about the urban garden that we have from our chef, Christina Moore. Christina, show us the garden.
Good morning, I'm Chef Christina. We're here at Shepherd's Table in the garden. Thank you all for joining us. It's a perfect day to stay inside and watch a Zoom fundraiser on how to start a garden so you can plant it. And tomorrow when it warms up, maybe you get a head start on it. So I just wanted to show you guys around the garden today. Just give you an update on what we've been doing here. So we've got, how many beds? 13 beds now. We started with 3 2 years ago, and I was growing some carrots and some bok choy, and it did really well, and I really wanted to expand on it. So I'll just give you a little quick tour. Here we've got some bok choy, which seems to do really well in our little box garden. We've got some greens over here, some spinach, Swiss chard. Back here we've got some arugula and some strawberry rain lettuce, broccoli rabe. We've got all these herbs. These boxes just went in a couple of days ago. We're gonna put some summer vegetables in there once it warms up a little bit. I believe there's a picture of what it looked like before, so you can see how far we've come from the beginning here at Shepherd's Table. No. Okay, well, in the video you can kind of see what it was before and the work that we put in. We had a volunteer day, a garden day, where over 50 volunteers came in, and we had some shrubs that were all in this area. It was very uneven, there was weeds everywhere, and the volunteers pulled all of that out. We moved the pretty shrubs to the front so that our clients can enjoy those right now. And then we built 4 more boxes that day and leveled everything out. And as you can see, you know, it's really come a long way. So my vision for this garden really is not only to provide additional fresh food for our clients, you know, and to grow different herbs and things to kind of expand our repertoire of what we're able to cook at Shepherd's Table, but also ultimately I like it to be an educational program, and you know, give people a chance to learn a new skill. And I have found, you know, in my few years that I've been doing this, that gardening is very therapeutic, and it's, you know, it can really inspire you in many other areas of your life. And so I would like to share that with our clients and other people. So that's my dream for our garden here, and with your help, I think we can really make it a reality. Are we asking questions, or does anyone have any questions?
Well, thank you. That was terrific. Well, I'll ask you a question. Do I understand correctly, you've put a recipe book together to support the garden?
Oh, yes, we are working on a recipe book. Our copy editor recently had a baby, but it is just about finished and ready to head to the editor. And we will definitely be keeping people updated on that. It should be out very soon.
Thank you. Very excited about that. The garden looks great. I have maybe just a couple of closing questions. I have a question for you, Manny. Are you with us?
Yes.
Manny, if people want to make meal donations to Shepherd's Table, what do you need? How do they go about that?
So I'm sorry, just to make sure I got the question. Oh, meal donations. Yes. So you can definitely contact us, either me or Hailey. Hailey Gebrugziber is our Director of Operations. Let's see, I'm trying to block the wind.
This is live action, folks.
But yes, we do accept meal donations. You can get my email off of the website. In particular, right now, if you're talking about already prepared meals, what we need mostly right now are sandwiches and brown bag lunches, basically. And we have some guidance as to what to put in the brown bag lunch, but just ham and cheese sandwiches with like a granola bar and a juice box. Potato chips goes a long way. Right now we're doing brunches and dinner every day, but around early afternoon, we usually bring out whatever bag lunches have been donated, and the folks love them. It's a little extra source of sustenance for the day. So by all means, we are still taking those types of prepared foods. And then bulk food, of course, we're always in need of, and any food, and particularly anything you grow from your garden, anything you're not going to eat. if you could bring it to us, we'll definitely repurpose it. Christina here and our other chefs, Keith and Gary, are experts at repurposing food that we get. So by all means, we would love your food donations.
Well, I know all that information is on shepherdstable.org about how to, give your time, give meals. Also, there's an Amazon wish list posted to our website, so you can either order from Amazon and directly ship to Shepherd's Table the very high demand items, or if you have those things in your house that you see on that Amazon list and they're extra to you, please bring them by. Please donate today. We are a successful public-private partnership. The county does provide the facility, but everything else about it has been a grassroots, ground-up operation from the Silver Spring community 35 years ago to grow into what it is today. So your donations keep us going. So, and I have a few door prizes, yay, to announce, and then I'm going to have Manny close the program after that. Door prizes. So yay, people who have been randomly selected to receive seeds donated by Brookside Gardens, beautiful Brookside Gardens, thank you. Seeds in a gardening booklet, Kristen Lanes. Bees Wrap food covers, Nora Wong. And a garden banner to Rachel Cooper. So yay, thank you for being part of our program today. And I'm going to turn it to you, Manny, for final thoughts.
Thank you, Susan. Yeah, so just you see here's the door prizes from Brookside Gardens, and we're very appreciative. I'm wearing my Brookside Gardens hat. I happen to be a neighbor of the gardens, and it's an amazing place. Highly recommend you go there. Tomorrow, you might want to get there early for Mother's Day. It does get busy, and with social distancing, you're of course going to have to, do that, observe that. But it's a wonderful place, and they are actually starting to grow fruits and vegetables that they're donating to us, to this garden. So we're going to develop that relationship further. And just in conclusion, I just want to again thank everybody that was a part of this. Debbie Boger, of course, Susan Collett, and the rest of our board, too many to name all of them here. And then Jilna and her team, Sybil and T, for all their work into putting today and making today possible. And of course, Christina Moore, and all the staff and volunteers of Shepherd's Table. We really appreciate you participating. In many ways, we see our meal guests, like this garden. They're flourishing, they're blossoming, they're blooming. Many of them are getting their lives together and breaking the cycle, like we mentioned earlier, or better yet, breaking the grip of poverty, which we know unfortunately is going to get worse. We now have the highest unemployment rate since the Great Depression, so things are going to probably get worse before they get better. But by staying strong as a community and working together and caring about others and just loving others, that's all it's going to take to get through this and continue to thrive despite these challenges. So again, thanks everyone, and until next time.
Thank you, everybody. We appreciate everybody joining.
Hi, it's Amber. It's just Debbie, Jilna, and I think on here right now.
Yeah. Oh boy. That was a busy hour.
Well, I think it went well. I mean, all
Yeah.
things considered, except for our Russian spammers, hackers trying to get in.
That was crazy how many of them did try to get in. My
I mean, good thing we were able to, like, you know, take care of that pretty quickly. The one thing that I do wish, you know, that we knew going in was going to be an issue is that you can't edit the chat. So when we had that, I farted.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to get, where am I going to delete that? But that, I mean, I think in the webinar you probably could, but I mean, if that's the worst thing that happens, I think we're okay. Debbie, you're muted. Let's unmute.
I just unmuted her.
Okay.
Hey, can we stop recording?
Oh yeah, sorry.